For the world is a beautiful place to be born into. If you don't mind happiness not always being so very much fun. If you don't mind a touch of hell now and then, just when everything is fine, because even in heaven, they don't sing all the time. The world is a beautiful place to be born into. If you don't mind some people dying all the time, or maybe only starving some of the time, which isn't half so bad if it isn't you. Oh, the world is a beautiful place to be born into. If you don't much mind a few dead minds in the higher places. Or a bomb or two now and then in your upturned faces. Or such other improprieties as our name brand society is prey to, with its men of distinction and its men of extinction, and its priests and other patrolmen, and its various segregations and congressional investigations and other constipations that our fool flesh is heir to. Yes, the world is the best place of all for a lot of such things as making the fun scene and making the love scene and making the sad scene and singing low songs and having inspirations and walking around looking at everything and smelling flowers and goosing statues and even thinking and kissing people and making babies and wearing pants and waving hats and dancing and going swimming in rivers on picnics in the middle of the summer and just generally living it up. Yes, but then, right in the middle of it, comes a smiling mortician.
In Part 1, Frank Zappa made the move to the Inland Empire when he attended Chaffey College, met his future wife Kay, and settled in Ontario, California. He became acquainted with Paul Buff, who owned and operated PAL Studios in Cucamonga. Zappa apprenticed with Buff and learned how to record music. In 1963, PAL Studios owner Paul Buff decided to move his base of operations to the Los Angeles area and work at Original Sound Records. Zappa took over the business and renamed it Studio Z. Meanwhile, Frank and Kay's marriage ended in divorce, and Frank eventually moved into the studio. He planned to record music and perhaps make a low-budget film. The local newspaper wrote an article about Zappa and called him the movie king of Cucamonga. This article drew the attention of local law enforcement officials who thought Zappa must be making stag films. They kept an eye on him, then decided to act, but more on that later. In 1965, Zappa joined a Pomona band, the Soul Giants, with Ray Collins on vocals, Roy Estrada on bass, and Jimmy Carl Black on drums. This band morphed into the Mothers. Later in 1965, Zappa and the band made the move to L.A. to seek their fortune in the music business. In 1966, the band was signed to the Verve division of MGM Records. The band was renamed the Mothers of Invention. On May 31, 1968, Zappa and his Mothers of Invention returned to the Inland Empire when they played the Swing Auditorium in San Bernardino, California, for the first time. The opening band was Sweetwater. Almost 12 years later, Frank Zappa played the Swing Auditorium for the second time on April 5, 1980. That night, Zappa was interviewed backstage by San Bernardino Sun newspaper reporter Mark Lundahl. Zappa spoke about his days as an IE musician and how he was once arrested and spent 10 days in the San Bernardino County Jail. Zappa said that in 1965 he was working in his Cucamonga studio when he said, "One day, this undercover detective came in and told me he was a used car salesman, and some of his friends wanted to have a party next Wednesday, and could I make a stag movie for the guys? So I said, hey, what a humorous idea. Let's get the used car salesman off. But there was no way I could make a movie for the amount of money he wanted to pay. So I said, how about a tape recording for the guys? He said, fine, I'll give you $100, and he listed all the things he wanted to have included on this tape. So Zappa recorded the simulated sex tape with his new girlfriend, Lorraine Belcher, edited out the laughter, added music, and completed post-production. Zappa continues the story. So the detective came back the next day and gives me $50. I said, I thought you were going to give me $100. And before I could say anything else, he flashes a badge, the doors open up, and all these guys run in with cameras and start taking pictures of everything. Then handcuffs, the whole bit. So they took me to court, and I didn't have the money to fight the thing. I had to plead nolo contendere, so they gave me a 6-month sentence with all but 10 days suspended, plus 3 years probation. It was no wonder that his time in the Inland Empire left a bad taste in Frank Zappa's mouth.
We find ourselves in darker days without the light. Some lose their way, but we cannot be led astray. We know the course that we must stay. Some have helped those in need, and sadly some have shown their greed. This isn't for the faint of heart, but we will not be torn apart. Uncertain times need certain minds. Uncertain times need certain minds. Uncertain times need certain minds. And these are certainly uncertain times. The sun will soon be coming out to wash away these clouds of doubt. As long as we don't lose our way, then up ahead are brighter days. Uncertain times need certain minds. Uncertain times need certain minds. Uncertain times need certain minds. And these are certainly uncertain times. Sometimes I can't understand the actions of my fellow man, but I am holding fast to the plan of killing them with kindness when I can. Sometimes I can't understand the actions of my fellow man, but I am holding fast to the plan of killing them with kindness when I can. Uncertain times need certain minds. Certain times need certain minds. Certain times need certain minds. These are certainly uncertain times.
Hey, Lo-Fi Loungers, welcome to the XTC box. My name is Ralph Torres. You might recognize me from The Dangers. I'm here with my good friend and bandmate, Chris LeRoy. Hey.
Hey, hey. I'm so
Good.
glad that we're here and that we settled on a cool project. We were standing up on the stage. Wouldn't it be cool if? And we because what would be a good band? And I think you said, well, XTC.
Yeah, well, it's one of those bands that's come up between us through the years,
Sure.
and certainly about the time we met was really when they were first getting some traction.
Yeah.
And I think for both of us, people are familiar with their '80s hits, their K-rock hits,
Yeah.
but for guys like you and me, they're such a songwriters band.
Yeah.
And the team of Andy Partridge and Colin Moulding, even though they didn't collaborate, they had their own tunes, but together, XTC, I mean, we both agreed they didn't get, and they still don't get, the credit recognition they deserve for their incredible output through the years. And I think how the conversation came up, it's like, well, yeah, remember the first time you heard Making Plans for Nigel?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Because that was most people's first experience. Unless you're in the UK, you probably got it around, heard some of the first two records a little more than you did here. But Drums and Wires was really the breakthrough. I remember it was released August 17th, 79. And I remember hearing it. It was about this time of year, but I was in Hollywood because, we were just out of high school, and it was always the thing to go to Hollywood and try and get in the clubs. I was just 18, I think. So I get in the clubs down there. But, in LA, there was just so much going on. So we were in Hollywood, and we were walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and Making Plans for Nigel was coming out of this souvenir shop.
Okay.
Well, he was right. I think you were at Tower Records and heard it, but we're walking down, and that's how I first remember hearing that song, and it was just such a unique sound out of the gate, the whole drum rhythm and everything.
Right.
And of course, next time you heard it, you heard a little bit more about the lyrics and Making Plans for Nigel. And he has his future in British Steel. And it was very, very different in an era where there was suddenly a lot of new different things.
Yeah, I think that probably the word different is that we were lucky in that we were able to kind of grow up when there were so many different kinds of music that were rushing up and into each other. But on the way to practice, we would always have our cassette, of just everything that, knew that we had heard and we were excited about. So we were driving from Redlands to Riverside. So that time that we had, we were listening to these cassettes, and, we agreed about the Clash, and we loved the Clash and Costello, Tom Petty. But when Life Begins at the Hop came on, either my tape or John, or it was on both of our tapes. That's the thing. John had, I got to show you this new song. And I go, oh no, I got to show you this new song. And we're both listening to Life Begins at the Hop. This frenetic energy that came with that album that just totally bought in, and it moved us forward.
And, looking at XTC, where they came from in, Swindon, England, and not by any means a big town, a big place, not an urban setting. And so out of the gate, they were removed from, the larger British music thing going on. So they, you can see how they developed. Andy and Colin met in the early 70s.
Okay.
And started playing together. And their first thing was called Star Park. It was like a glam band. They were doing a glam thing. They opened for Thin Lizzy.
Wow. That was a cool show.
that sort of morphed into the Helium Kids, right? And you know, but it was basically those two with other players. Barry Andrews, keyboard player, exited before Drums and Wires,
Right.
and that's brought in David Gregory on guitar, and that would be, you know, Partridge, Moulding, and Gregory would be the classic XTC lineup.
Another road where maybe I can see a better way to go. Another road where I don't have to see this candle burning down. I know the truth, just don't remind me that the end is coming round. Over a western sky, I fly into a moonlit night, and what seemed like a moment is revealed as a lifetime now. Another road, another restless soul, torn from all it's known. 'Cause we all leave, but where do we arrive, helpless and alone? I ask myself, well, who have I become? But do I want to say? I catch my breath, choking on the truth, try to get away. Over a western sky, I fly into a moonlit night. What seemed like a moment is revealed as a lifetime now. Another road left to wander, can I ever go back home? Another road, or will I find you there, or am I on my own? Another road, where maybe I can see a better way to go. Another road, where maybe I can see a better way to go. Another road,
notebook of protest songs from Greenwich Village to the White House lawn. You told the story of how a river ran past broken fences on the promised land. We'd say it forever. In cafes we'd stand, in fields, farmlands, dead flower hands, stone and naked, just past Duluth, like freedom was a highway. I wish that was true.